Video from my Channel Island Dive Adventures trip to San Nicolas and San Clemente Island. This is going to be a little out of order because I figure this is what everybody's going to want to see. The sea turtle that I spotted at San Clemente. This was in a dive spot called Fish Hook. I saw this sea turtle, I did a double take, and in my chipmunk voice, because I was breathing a helium diluent in my rebreather, said, "Oh my god, it's a sea turtle!" and went hauling after it, and it ran away just as fast. We tried to find it again, but had no luck. This is actually back on San Nicolas. It was an interesting sea cucumber. I saw a few of them, these real prickly specimens. I had never seen anything like that at Catalina before. This was one of the 3 giant black sea bass that I found. This one was at a dive site that had such a strong current, we had to have the chase boat pull us. You can see the kelp is at, better than a 45-degree angle. Here's the sea bass making another pass. This was Ben's first giant black sea bass. This was another rather interesting site. It was near Pyramid in San Clemente. It was a series of steps that went down. X and I went to about 120 feet, where we found a series of caves. Here's one of the caves that was actually big enough for X to fit himself and his scooter in. What's kind of cool is X gave me his video, so I've got this cave from multiple perspectives. Here's me filming X going in to film the cave. And here's X's video of X going in to film the cave. This gave an interesting perspective. You can see the difference in the GoPros. He's got his set to a wider angle and a lower frame rate. He's got an earlier generation than I do. His is, I believe, a 3, whereas mine's a 4 silver. This was a decent-sized cavern. Here you can see him turning around, and there's me. I'm actually on the trip. Finally, I'm on video. Thank you, X, for the video. And here's X filming me entering the cave. The entrance was really, really low, so I was somewhat limited on, not being able to salt. Inside the cave, I found this crack with just tons and tons of lobster. San Clemente is the lobsteriest island I have ever seen. This is still the same dive site. There were a bunch of these fan walls, basically, with gorgonians, and this was one of 2 kelp fish that I saw. I really, really liked these. I thought they were really interesting to see. The second one, X kept pointing it out to me, and pointing it out to me, and pointing it out to me, and I couldn't see it. This is the one here. Watch how it actually moves with the kelp in the surge. It blends in perfectly. It's a really kind of a cool effect. And because of that, unless you see it, they're impossible to spot. This is another site on San Clemente. I believe this is 8 fathom. There were large schools of blacksmith and another giant black sea bass. I came up on Ben firing his strobes constantly, and I knew he must be on something. And this guy appeared out of the gloom. He actually swam away, and we all stayed still, and he made a pass on the way back, where I was able to get this footage. I saw 3 giant black sea bass on this trip, 1 on each day. I didn't get the 3rd one on video because we almost ran into him with the scooter. Didn't even realize he was there. By the time I got my camera out, he was long gone. This is Fish Hook here. There was a scientific experiment that was going on. This was also the lobsteriest dive site I have ever seen. We did a night dive, and as you'll see, at one point there was a lobster every, say, 6 square feet. This is a purple sheep's crab of some sort. I've never seen one that was purple before. I've certainly seen the white variety. They're much larger. but you can see all the lobster around. This was a moray eel that we had caught free swimming. When it saw our lights, it tried to duck into a hole and was pissed that it wasn't unable to. Eventually, it was able to weasel its way in, at which point it turned around and stuck its head out in typical moray eel fashion and was much, much calmer. This is a dive site called Pinnacle. It was really early on the third day, and it was rather deep. Very, very fishy, tons of kelp, but super dark. It was almost like a night dive. It has a really, really large arch that you can see here. I did a swim through on the arch along with X. This was by far the biggest structure that we've seen. The top of the arch is covered in scallops. It's similar to the density that you find on the oil rigs in Los Angeles. Really kind of cool to see. And the fact that it's so dark gives it a kind of an eerie vibe. All that you can see is the glow of the light through the other side. This is another arch at a different dive site. This is Second Boiler. This is where I saw the sea turtle. To give you some perspective of this size, here's Ben swimming through the arch. Really, really pretty. I just happened across it. We had set out to try to find the arch, but we hadn't found it. On our way back, we happened to stumble across it. All in all, this was an amazing trip. I had a bunch of great friends with me. We all had a good time. Everybody was safe. No problems. And I really look forward to visiting these islands again.